Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Rick. Nice to meet you. Hi, Jennifer. Can you hear us?
Yep, good.
That's good. Lillian and Lizzie, can you both hear us?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you for everyone for taking the time out today. Hope you're all well. Yeah. Have you all got lovely sunshine weather today?
Yes.
Lovely in Scotland. For a change.
I know it's nice in Scotland, isn't it? It's it makes a bit of a difference.
Mm. Well, we've had it all week for the sunshine. I think we reached about 19 degrees the other day in Derby.
Good.
Mm.
Must have been all
I
that
think we're
thinking you were doing,
18.
Richard.
Sorry, what was that, Graham?
I'm saying must have been all that thinking you were doing.
Must be.
Well, according to the BBC weather app, we are sitting at 13 at the moment.
Well, I think we're about 16 at the moment.
Well,
You're always just that little bit better down there.
well, yeah.
I'm talking about temperature only, Jennifer. Don't worry. Not everything.
And what about where you are, Lorna, when you go back?
Oh, I go back to -1 and -2. So I'm making the most of Claypole. 14 today. So yeah, I head back to snow tomorrow.
Crazy.
Yeah, totally.
You wouldn't think it when it's sunshine weather here.
No, it's totally opposite. But hopefully not for much longer. Hopefully it ends this month and then we get a nice summer.
Yeah, that would be good.
Hopefully, we are expecting a few more. But I think we're already 5 minutes in already. I think it would be good to make a start. We are recording this session as well. So we will reach back out to the delegates that was unable to attend. But okay, we'll make a start. So welcome to our 6-weekly networking chat discussion. It's what's hosted by Assessment Services. For those that haven't met me, I'm Richard Adkins. I'm the Systems and Finance Manager at the head office. I'm also a Customer Service Excellence Assessor. And I'm also joined by Lorna Bainbridge and Graham Murdoch, who are both Customer Service Excellence Assessors as well. So like I said, this session is being recorded and it will be shared on the Assessment Services community shortly after. So those that are interested within your organisation, it gives them an opportunity to listen into the discussion. In terms of housekeeping, we have allocated an hour for the discussion. So we will close at 3 p.m. However, if anyone wishes to have a conversation after, we will keep the meeting open for as long as that's required. I will allow you to manage your own microphone, but just please be mindful of any background noise. But the purpose of the discussion is to share experiences and learn from each other. And this can be linked directly to elements of the standard, which is 4.2.4, which is about developing and learning from best practice. And in some cases, this has led to benchmarking, which addresses 4.2.3 of the standard. Today, we're joined by Louise McNeilage, the Tenant and Community Engagement Facilitator at Scottish Borders Housing Association. Want to just get a little bit of a wave, Louise?
It's a mouthful, that title, isn't it, Richard? It's a shocker. You should see my business cards. I can barely fit it on.
Well, thank you, Louise, for participating today and providing your valuable time.
Thank you for asking me.
No, Scottish Borders was one of the 2024 Assessment Services Awards winners. And their award entry what they won in was conduct effective customer consultations that enhance and drive organisational performance. So Louise will be providing a bit of a presentation shortly. However, what we'd like to share with you is the awards winners video that Scottish Borders Housing Association actually completed. So I will be sharing this now. It would be great if you could kindly turn off your microphones just whilst we share the video. We did have some difficulty first thing this morning, but we did rectify the issue. So please let me know if you're unable to hear the video. So hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Hi there. Here at Scottish Borders Housing Association, we're excited and delighted that we've been recognised by Assessment Services for conducting effective customer consultations that truly make a difference. This award means a lot to us because it celebrates our customer service excellence, which is at the heart of everything we do. Listening to our tenants and customers and turning their feedback into positive actions to improve services. We provide homes to over 5,600 households across diverse communities in the Scottish Borders. This comes with certain challenges. Our customers are widely dispersed with a variety of needs. The population of the Borders is ageing, with many young people moving away for work. We face challenges around fuel poverty, with off-grid homes and areas of deprivation. There are issues around digital connectivity, with infrastructure challenges leaving some people unable to enjoy the benefit of being online. We need more homes. Last year, Scottish Borders Council declared a housing emergency, and we are determined to play our part in addressing this. We know that the best solutions come from the people we serve. That's why tenant voices are at the core of our decision making. After all, SBHA was created by tenants for tenants. Tenant engagement is embedded in our governance framework. Our customer board, which reviews customer experience, service development and policies, directly informs the main board. Both boards feature tenant and independent members. Our constituted tenant group, the Scottish Borders Tenants Organisation, and customer audit teams ensure there is tenant representation at every level of decision making. Together, these groups lead scrutiny audits, provide suggestions for improvements, give feedback on policies, and contribute to our 5-year strategic plan. Our approach combines structure with creativity. Tenant and community engagement is embedded in everything we do. We carry out consultations through surveys, focus groups, roadshows, scrutiny projects, and even mystery shopping, all of which helps us gather ideas and feedback. We use social media, online forums, digital comms, but also paper surveys and newsletters to make sure we reach everyone in a format that suits them best. We take all that feedback, analyse it, and use it to make real improvements. We've expanded our Warm and Well energy to support service, with over 3,000 tenants now having benefited from this service, helping them get out of fuel debt and providing energy-saving measures for their homes. We've amended policies like prioritising survivors of domestic abuse in our housing allocations, making sure that our processes are fair and transparent, and ensuring homes are provided to those most in need. And working with tenants to enhance our repairs and maintenance service through dedicated working groups, working in partnership to make positive changes to increase customer satisfaction. The results speak for themselves. Tenant satisfaction in opportunities to participate in decision making is soaring at 94%, well above the Scottish national average. And trust in our dedication to make a difference has never been stronger. Following recommendations from our customer audit teams, tenant satisfaction with our management of neighbourhoods has increased by 9% from 61% to 70%. Since 2022-23, tenant satisfaction with being kept informed increased by 12%, from 71% to 83%. Following recommendations from the customer contact scrutiny, we have cut call abandonment rates from 22% to 6%. And our work is getting noticed, like winning a TPAS Scotland Best Practice Award in 2024 for involving tenants and communicating effectively, and being runner-up in shaping and scrutinising services in partnership with Scottish Borders Tenants Organisation. Thank you to our tenants, communities and our teams for making this possible. This award is a reminder that when we listen, really listen, and work together, we create lasting change for our communities and have happy customers. Here's to building on this success together.
Right, thank you everyone for listening on that. We was very impressed with all of the award winners' videos this year. But that really was excellent. Gave a really good overview of your service, all within 5 minutes, and you provided the impact of your certification as well. So yeah, it was a really positive video, and I'd like to think that everyone found that insightful, really. So the video worked with no hiccups, which was a really good start. And
That's
now
good, Richard.
so now we're going to hand over to Louise, who's got a bit of a presentation to administer. So I will hand over the hosting rights to yourself, Louise, and ready when you are.
Thank you. Thank you. So I was just saying to Richard and Lorraine when I was first on that I'm more a Microsoft Teams girl, so I'm not always great with Zoom, so I'll give it my best shot. Thank you, Richard, for that introduction. It's really nice to be invited along here today. My role at SBHA, as Richard says, Tenant and Community Engagement Facilitator. I basically work with our tenant population, basically all of our tenants as much as possible who want to get involved in decision making at SBHA, and primarily with Scottish Borders Tenants Organisation. Before I move on to the presentation, the video that you were talking about that you've seen there, that was done by our communications officer, Jennifer McRobbie, so all credit to her for that. And the voiceover was our customer services director, Susan McDonald, who's quite new to the organisation. She joined us in December. So she's new on this customer service excellence journey and is leading on that for our review in October. So I'm going to try and share screen and we'll see how this goes, because it all goes a bit funny when I start sharing, but we'll right, okay. Is that looking all right? And then I think we'll probably happen. Yeah. Let me just. And then I think if I just press. Yay! Because I want to be able to see you as well, because I don't really want to talk to my slides. So basically, if I look up and down, I've got a big screen in front of me. I'm well out with my comfort zone because I'm not in my own room, because I decided that it would be easier to sit on my own in a meeting room rather than with all the housing officers listening and giggling and going, no, that's not right. That's not what we do. Obviously, Graham, that's not the case. We do all the things I say. So a bit more about SBHA. So as you can see, we were created by tenants for tenants. In fact, I'm going to put this on, or I'm going to be looking at you. I'll be looking at the screen all the time. I'll look at you guys on this screen. Okay, so created by tenants for tenants. So we were established in 2003 as a stock transfer from Scottish Borders Council. We currently have, I think it's 5,667 at the end of financial year, homes across 49 settlements within the Scottish Borders. And our main towns are Hoyt, Galashiels, Peebles, Selkirk, Kelso and Jedburgh. We're faced, as Susan alluded to in the video, we're faced with lots of rural challenges about aging population, transport issues, etc. So they can all be barriers to engagement and barriers to good customer service at times. So we have to implement things to overcome those challenges. Our annual turnover is just over 27 million, and we employ over 150 team members, including an in-house property team for our repairs and maintenance, etc. And as I alluded to before, we work in partnership with Scottish Borders Tenants Organisation. We refer to them as SBTO because housing is full of acronyms, as we all know. And yeah, so it's a little bit on our communities. We're a really large geographical area in the Scottish Borders. It's a large area that covers 18, just over 18,000 miles, square miles, which is just 4,732 square kilometres. Our population is 116, just under 117,000, and it has depleted over the years because a lot of people have left to go to the cities to find roles, and some people don't come back. I was one of those people that went away 18, went to Edinburgh, did my degree, thought, oh, I'm not going back to Hawick, and then through various bits and pieces I end up back there. It's a lovely part of the world. It's a really nice place to bring up children. It's a very community spirited place. We're steeped in traditions such as knitwear and farming and common ridings with horses and things like that. But we'll not talk about those battles with the English because it wouldn't be appropriate, obviously. But yeah, so there's lots going on there. I'm going to very quickly touch on how we did in customer service excellence. Graham, our assessor, is here today, which is lovely to see him. And yeah, so we achieved our customer service excellence in October 2024. I would say this was probably a year and a half's preparation, if I'm honest with you. There was quite a long period of us getting things ready, gathering the data. It was a full-on process. I was involved a lot in it. There was a team of about 10 of us, but I was involved a lot because obviously tenant engagement plays a huge part in customer satisfaction and customer service, but also the engagement that we do with the tenants to make sure that we're doing things right and that we're being challenged. So out of the 57 indicators, we were compliant in 57, compliance plus in 2, and partially compliant in 2. So we were really pleased with that. And we recently did some training with the team, and we said, look, this is an organisation effort. This is an organisation-wide achievement. Customer service isn't a department. It's everyone's job, and that's something that we try and bring home a lot. It's the same as I say in tenant engagement. Just because tenant engagement's in my title, the guys on the tools, the guys in the communities, they're dealing with tenants every single day, and every touch point is a touch point of engagement with a tenant. So it's really important that we all have the same ethos. So big team effort for us. I'm going to quickly go through this because you don't need to know it all, but basically we were compliance plus in our customer insight to inform policy and strategy and to prioritise service improvement. We're very strong on that, and it's something we take very seriously. We also prioritise customer focus at all levels and evaluate this through performance management. And these are some of the this is some of the kind of highlights from the report, that we're strong customer engagement, that we really focused on lessons learned, and we have a really robust performance framework in place. Partial compliance, so this is where we need to up our game a bit. We can demonstrate that we deliver the service we promised and that outcomes are as positive as for the majority of our customers, and that we monitor our performance against standards for timeliness and quality of service and take actions if problems arise. So we need to, we're aware, and we have plans in place for improving our non-emergency repairs. We're really good at emergency repairs, but non-emergency repairs are a little bit more difficult, and our satisfaction levels haven't always been as good, although we'd like to say that they have increased for the end of this financial year, so we're really happy with that. Keeping tenants informed is another one. This is, you can look at this two ways. It could be about our communication as a corporate, as a business, communicating to our tenants via newsletter, via website, social media. We often think in housing that tenants being kept informed is really more about, are you coming to my house to complete the repair at the time that you said you would? And that's kind of where sometimes we fall down. So we're really putting practices in place to improve on that. And I'll come back to that a little bit later. And first time resolution. So this is, we have something called first time fix, right first time. The Scottish Housing Regulator, I think, are looking at that indicator to explain, and it's a difficult one because right first time in housing, it doesn't mean that I turn up as a plumber and fix your toilet on the first day that I come in. You'd think it does, and it should. To me, for a tenant and a customer, it should mean that. What it actually means is that as long as we complete that repair in 10 working days, for example, well, it wouldn't be 10 working days for a toilet because you'd need that. That would be a bit more emergency or a sort of urgent one. But as long as we complete a repair in the SLA, the service level agreement time, we are getting that right first time. Bit confusing for tenants. I can understand sometimes why they find that complicated. And some of our suggested improvements from the report. So we're currently looking at our transactional surveys, so reviewing the process of that, including our subcontractors rather than just our operatives. Improving response rates, there's plans in process for that, and standardising our approach across the piece in SPHE. We have lots of surveys. We don't want survey fatigue. It's really important that we get our customers' feedback, but we don't want to get them frustrated. So we're looking at how we can combine multiple touch points for tenants, so they're not maybe having to speak to 5 people or fill in 5 forms, which is unnecessary and annoying for them. And all that will hopefully give us the feedback we need and improve satisfaction. And improve our digital offerings. So we have a brand new website which is launching very soon, imminently. I was thinking when Jen's back, she's on holiday this week, our comms officer, she'll be working on that over the next week or so to get that finally launched. It looks great. It's very modern. Our old website was quite antiquated and not out of date in terms of information, but the platform needed some accessibility improvements. Our brand had changed, so our colours were all changing, our imagery was changing, and the look and feel, and also mobile friendly, what was something it didn't offer before. We also have a tenant app. We're looking to improve that. There'll be a portal options for repairs and things like that on the website, and we want our systems internally to all talk to each other, which is something we're also working on. So we're focusing on areas where our targets have not been met. So digital engagement, automation, self-service, that's kind of our future proofing for what we need to do there. So what are we doing? So we're not sitting back and going, oh, well, we did really well. This is, it's not a badge for us. This is continuous improvement and something that we will be looking to improve on year. We want to get more compliance plus and certainly not have any partials. That's the plan, Graham. So we are creating great places to live. So we're improving our repairs and maintenance service. As I said, satisfaction has increased over the last year. We're investing in our homes. We have our planned maintenance and programs. That's new kitchens, new bathrooms, heating systems, which is becoming difficult because we're looking towards the end of gas and air source heat pumps and green energy. So that's complex in itself. We have dated stock. So we've a lot of lower banded stock that need to be brought up to the government levels, and the government keep changing things, and there's lots of different things that we need to be doing. Plus we've got lots of cyclical programs like painting and stair lighting and all those kind of things throughout our neighbourhoods to make them better places to live. We're building new homes, so we're helping with the housing emergency. And we are adapting some of our old garages into homes to make them little bungalows for people who maybe have accessibility issues or maybe a little bit older who don't need such a big home anymore. Hopefully that will encourage some people to free up larger homes for families that are needing more bedrooms. So there may be incentives and things like that offered there. And we're buying back suitable properties on the market, and we're making a mid-market rent for key workers. Again, we're building as well, but there's only so much land and so much space. And with all of the changes in recent years, construction has been complex. Costs have went up. We've lost some labour, things like that due to Brexit. So there's lots of things going on there. We've improved our home bidding system. We have a new information site, and basically you log on and you can apply to bid for homes. It's called Housing Online, which replaced our own Home Choice website. And we also have, once we obviously launch the new website, we'll have all the increased functionality for people as well. So just making it a little bit more appealing and an easier journey for tenants and customers. We're increasing our visibility with our dedicated community teams. So in our neighbourhoods, we're out and about. We do estate walkabouts, we do community events, roadshows, tenant meetups, surgeries, that kind of thing. We're pretty much everywhere. If we can be, we try and get out there. We're also increasing our dedicated support services. So when we did our accreditation, some of the services that we have are financial inclusion, sort of like benefits and budgeting support, our Warm and Well, which is energy advice, fuel debt, helping people out of fuel poverty, etc. Tenancy support, maybe help with hoarding, cooking, cleaning, that kind of thing, and managing your tenancy. And then we've got antisocial behaviour support as well, and mediation, that kind of thing, as well as our new we're launching a new team which is for damp and mould for complex cases. So although we've been looking at damp and mould for a number of years, there has been key highlights over the last few years with damp and mould, and we realise that we have got complex cases and we need to put more resource into that. So that's really positive for that area of the business. We are developing and future-proofing our key strategies and business plans. So our current strategy for 25 to 30, I think it is in final proofing stage with the board and exec and everything. So that'll be launched this year. On that, the back of that, everything will update. Our tenant engagement strategy, Voices Together, will update. We have aging well strategy, sustainability, net zero, equalities, diversity, inclusion, all these kind of things, asset management and IT. There's loads of things going on. So all of them run in line from the golden thread of obviously the main strategic plan and business plan. And we're offering as many channels as we can. So we're still sticking with traditional methods. We know that our tenants and customers would rather phone us still. We are pushing to move that digital. More of them trying to go through the website, trying to come through email, but we still have it, as we alluded to before, aging population, more people want to pick up the phone. So we still have a number of options for people to get in touch and get that feedback. You know, that will continue for a number of years yet. We are supporting people to get online as much as we can with various projects. Partnership working, our key partner is Scottish Borders Tenants Organisation, and they really help us. They do the tenant satisfaction survey, policy reviews, newsletters. We have an editorial panel. They do strategic projects. We're looking at green energy and air source heat pumps at the moment. We have a newsletter that they help write, and mystery shopping, which we'll talk about probably a bit more later. Consultations, campaigns, competitions, that kind of thing they get involved with. And we basically work with all our local partners. So we have a multi-agency approach for lots of different things. So obviously local council, other registered social landlords, and police, fire service, etc. Local colleges, schools, that kind of thing, and the NHS. So we work together to kind of build stronger, resilient communities. We tailor our engagement opportunities. So we have an interested parties list. And we ask people what they want to do, how much time do they want to commit, what would they like to see, what would they like to do, and you know, in a way that suits them best, whether that's an armchair survey, sitting in the comfort of your own home, or coming along to an event and helping us hand out leaflets and do surveys and stuff like that. So we maximise our menu of involvement. We try and give as many opportunities as possible, and all of this is to really improve tenant satisfaction. That's the aim of it, and we are actually, we've just had a recent TSS in and we're doing not too badly. I'm quite pleased with a lot of the results. I can't share them today because some of our guys don't know, but things are looking really positive, and the work that the teams are putting in is really strong. So I think I will stop sharing just now, and I could give you, let's see, did that stop sharing? Because I can't see any of you, so let me just find you. Yeah, am I back on?
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of all of the information that kind of the process we went through. Obviously, that isn't half the process, and I think Graham will be aware that there was a lot more to it than that. There was lots of late nights and lots of pulling together, but a really good process for us to go through as a business, and we had obviously a specific team, and we've learned lots of different things from the process, and we just keep building on that. And we've got obviously lots of plans in place for improvements, and then obviously we'll be reviewed in October. So we look forward to that, and hopefully that we're making all the changes and continuing. So that's really me, Richard. That's kind of all I had on my slides. So
No, that's great. Thank you, Louise. Great overview and insight to your organisation. You clearly saying you're doing a lot in the background, and that you're using the standard for continuous improvement, which is great.
yeah,
I'm sure Graham will be looking at your app and website later on in the year.
I'll send him the link. It's fine. It won't be long.
So we've got a couple of questions that we can identify. But would anyone like to ask Louise any questions from that presentation? Okay, thanks, Jennifer.
Well, just at the start of our journey, so I've met Richard a couple of times over the last 3 years now. So, but we have had a new director in the last 12 months, so I was keen to do this when I first started at Ayrshire Housing, but we've now got a change at leadership level. So we're now just launched our business plan on the 1st of April. So that's us now. That's one of our objectives this year, is to start to undertake accreditation. So it's really good to see how it's working. All the things that you're doing is kind of what we've got and what we're thinking of and what's in our business plan. So that's really positive, and yeah, it's just a wee bit of reassurance for me that I'm not a million miles away. I think, you know, like our paperwork and everything possibly, and the background, I've been doing a lot of stuff to get us to the point where we were so far removed 3 years ago, but now knowing that we were going for this at some point, I've been kind of doing some stuff in the background to get us to a point where I think we're probably more ready now than we would have been at the point. So we'll be looking to do similar, setting up a sort of separate working group and things like that. So it's just really encouraging to see what you've done. And also it's always good to have a colleague north bits of
Absolutely.
I know that area really well, actually, which is great. So it's nice.
You're more than welcome to come and visit, Jennifer. I mean, when we were doing this process, Graham put us in touch with another person from a housing association, and we met with them via a Teams call, and they asked us questions, and we gave a bit of support on what they were doing, a bit of reassurance. So I'm more than happy for Richard or Graham to pass on my contact details. And if you want to have a catch up at some point, just because we were really overwhelmed at the beginning.
Which is just right on the cusp of the Scottish border, so it would actually work for me to have an office visit, which would be really nice.
That's fine by me. That's what this is all about.
So I'm well versed in the area, so it's quite nice. But it's just, it's really reassuring, and I know that where we're coming from is very similar to what yous have done and where yous are like going in the future as well with other things. So that's good. So thanks for that. I appreciate that.
Thank you. What's your role, Jennifer?
So I am Director of Housing and Custom and Communities at Ayrshire Housing.
Right. Big role then, big role. So, yeah, so Susan, who I mentioned before, our Director of Customer Services, she'll be leading on that. So I'll mention to her as well, because I'm sure she'd be interested in catching up with you too. Yep. She wasn't here for the whole process. There was a few of us that were, but yeah, absolutely happy to connect, because it is a big process. But you should have seen the delight, and Graham will testify to this, the delight when we actually were told that we'd got everything. We were so happy. They even took us out for lunch, Graham, which was lovely. So it was like, oh wow, thank you very much. But yeah, it's been a really worthwhile process, and something that I think has really instilled a lot of just better behaviours and interest in customer service. And I think people understanding where their role fits in the process, I think that was the most important thing for us. We had a few teams where we really want to engage them more in this, because they maybe aren't seeing it as their role. But I think by the end of that, they were like, actually, yeah, I see how I fit. And I think if people realise that it's a joint approach and everybody plays a part, I think that's really important. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Does anyone else have any questions? No, okay. Well, we've got a couple that we've identified for
Okay.
Louise anyway. So, what was the last scrutiny project conducted, and were there any improvements identified as a result?
So, we have done 8 projects since 2015, and a variety of different things. So, obviously, I went away and had a little look because I'm like, I can't remember absolutely everything I've done in the last 10 years here, but we have done 8 projects that round about 100 recommendations from tenants have come out of those projects. Most recently, we have done repairs and maintenance service. Now, the recommendations are at that point of sitting with the action plan to be identified, because some of them were already happening because of our customer service excellence. So the customer service excellence project has almost harnessed our scrutiny, and it becomes kind of hand in hand in a way, because we're doing all that tenant feedback and reviewing of services, which help us create plans. A few things to probably highlight on. We did neighbourhood standards. We assessed our neighbourhood standards, so we have a standard for how the neighbours should be kept, and basically what tenants should expect around their homes. So not in their homes, but the estates around their homes. And tenant satisfaction with the neighbourhood rose from 61% before we did the scrutiny in 2022, and it's currently sitting, it went up to about 70, which was a great move within about a year or so. We've done a little bit more on that and continued with an improvement programme. We're now sitting at 79%, which is probably, Jennifer's going, oh, we're much higher than that, probably because we're not always great at everything, but 79% for neighbourhood, management of the neighbourhood as an indicator is fantastic for SPHA, so we're really, really pleased with that. And it just means happier tenants, and that's the most important thing, isn't it? In 2023, we did customer contact scrutiny, so that was really about how our solutions team, our call handlers manage calls and their customer service. We have done customer service standards, we've done everything is about customer service, every scrutiny project. But we did the recommendations that came out of that has enhanced our communication practices. So a lot of that is to do with training and making sure that people have access to the right information. So after the scrutiny in 2023, in 2024, satisfaction increased by 3%. Call abandonment rates have reduced from 22% to they're currently sitting at 7%. So that's great. That's a huge improvement, and just kind of helps tenants really. And also satisfaction of being kept informed has increased from 71 to 82 as it currently sits at the moment. So all of those implementation of actions has really made a difference. So yeah, we're quite happy. And as the video kind of showed, we're sitting really high for tenant participation. We sat at 59% for years or below or thereabouts. I think 59 was a few years ago. We did change our methodology, and we did look at what we were doing, and we decided we would have to explain to people better about what the opportunities were. Since we've done that, we've moved up to 93. We had 94, we're sitting on 93. The Scottish National average is 86. So yeah, we're helping tenants make decisions, and they seem quite happy. I suppose you could say, well, they don't have to get involved to think you're giving them enough opportunities. They might not want to do them, but the option is there for them. So, at the moment we're sitting in a nice position, so we're quite happy with that.
Great to see some of the customer satisfaction and tenant satisfaction improving, and the call abandonment rate having a significant drop as well.
It's the things that annoy tenants, isn't it? And customers, waiting on the phone. We all know that, waiting on the phone, and then obviously having to hang up because you're like, oh, I'm 50th in the queue or whatever it might be. So it's really just about making sure that isn't happening. And having the other options as well is helping. So we're pushing some through digital channels as well. So it's all just about kind of change and improvements that way, basically.
Okay, great. I think if there's 20 minutes left, I think it's a good opportunity to reach out to the audience involved now, and just get a bit of an understanding with So if you can introduce yourself and what's your current process with how do you conduct customer consultation, and how do you know it's effective? So we can have a bit of an open discussion. Would anyone like to start?
Quite happy to start.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer.
So we've just recently introduced CX Feedback as a platform, so we've just started kind of rolling that out. It depends on what it is, whether you're getting good consultation or not, really. So before CX Feedback, when I first started, everything was by letter or by paper survey. So, but postal costs just skyrocketed, so we've had to really look at how we're sending things out. So we've been in the past using quite a lot of Microsoft forums and sending them out, which is good because then we're at least getting some feedback on, you know, and it's creating the database so the information is there for you to access. But what I find personally is depending on what you really need to find out, it's just about tailoring it to who do you really need that information from. So we've had lots of smaller projects. So we had, for an example, we had some lockups that were in dire need of an upgrade, if you like, but we weren't sure who was actually using them and what they were being used for. So there was a bit of chat in the office. Well, we just demolish them and create that space into something else, because it's like, how much is it going to be to get rid of them? How much is it to keep them? So we identified who those belong to. We sent out the Microsoft form. Interestingly, it then appeared that one of them had been sold prior to us taking on the ownership of all the lockups, and it was the one slap bang in the middle, which caused all sorts of problems. We didn't know who owned it. We had no clue. Anyway, we were just going to do the works, and if they got in touch, then they were up, because we weren't going to charge them for it. But in our head, they looked awful. We didn't think they were getting used, and it turned out, there was one of our tenants' son had passed away, and all of his items and his motorbike and everything was all in it. So, to demolish them for her was like the end of the world, because that was the last thing that she had of her sons. It was everything in that lockup. Someone else was using it for something. I mean, you can't get a car in these lockups because they're built when we all had small cars, and now we've all got big cars or 4 cars. So very few of them were actually being used for, it was more for extra storage. But overwhelmingly, we've got a really good response. Now, this is from an area where if you're trying to get someone, you just really can't get a hold of them. You're chipping doors and whatever. But the Microsoft form, because it's so simple, they could use it on their mobile. It comes up in a really user-friendly format. So we got a good response, and as a result, we took the decision to renovate them. So, but we did it in bits. So we've got 3 lots of lockups. One's fine, actually, so we didn't really need to get in touch with everybody for lockups. It's just tailoring it, and that's the good thing about having the CX feedback, is you can tailor it and you can profile and you can dig deep in. It's just the way that it's set out, it's a bit more user-friendly, and a bit, we're hoping that we get an increased amount of feedback from our tenants. So it'll be interesting, but we're just kind of starting on that journey. But interestingly, last year we did the rent increase, and it was a Microsoft Forms, but we got more responses from our paper than we did on our Microsoft Forms. So, and I don't know if it was just the way that the Microsoft form came out. People were like, is that from Ayrshire Housing? Is that, it's about, and with CX feedback, you can brand it a bit better. So it looks, you know that it's coming from Ayrshire Housing, whereas Microsoft forms, maybe not as, is that just, what is this kind of thing? So it's just about, yourself, if you get something through, you're like, I'm not sure if I'm going to open that, and just delete it. So without even opening it. But this year, we did Microsoft Forms again, because we didn't have CX feedback. We got everything. We got a huge response back online, and very little went out. Very little actually went out on paper, but we had just as big response not sending out any paper forms this year than we did. So again, it's just about knowing your market. We're at the same. We've got an ageing population in the southwest of Scotland, so we have to be mindful. We've got areas where there's no connectivity, the same as yourself, Louise. So it's just about knowing your tenants, and we're just now to recruit for a community engagement manager, because at the moment it's me that does all the community side of things as well, and we're looking to try and extend that so that people are going out into the community and doing that exact thing. It's like going out, having that conversation, getting the feedback, measuring it and then fixing it, working on it, and then getting, you know, an updated measure of customer satisfaction, because ours has gone down like everyone else's, I think, post-COVID, falling behind with a lot of things, investment in our properties, you know, people are unhappy, but then expectations are a lot higher than I think they've ever been.
I think you're right, Jennifer. Expectations are rising. Younger people expect immediate action on everything. And, you know, and that can be really difficult because, as we know in housing associations, there's lots of things to get through.
I think it is about managing expectations, because we live in very much a 24/7 environment, especially the younger, our younger tenants. You know, you want something to eat, you can go online at pretty much any time of the day and you can get something to eat. You can order anything that you want delivered to your house pretty much at any time. But if you put a repair through at 3 o'clock in the morning via our portal, still not going to get picked up until the next day. You know, and it's that just managing expectations. So these are all things that when we're looking at consultation, we're sort of taking into consideration who, why, what do we need to establish, and what is the best method. You know, there's no point sending out something if, you know, to one of our areas during the storm was out for a week with nothing. They had no services, but they'd no mobile signal at the best of times. They'd no electricity. They don't have any gas because it's just air source heat pumps. And Scottish Power offered them a Just Eat voucher to, you know, and it's like, well, they don't have Just Eat because they don't deliver to that area. So again, it's like there's Scottish Power, a big organisation, saying, well, that's fine, we'll sort you out because we'll give you a voucher to get something to eat. We went out in our cars down to the area, went to the local Greggs, got steak bakes and sandwiches, crisps and juice, because we didn't know about this for 4 days, because nobody had been able to phone in to let us know that there was an issue, because it's so rural and nobody had any signal. But as soon as we did know, never mind your Just Eat, never mind anything else, get down there, what can we do? And we rolled in with hot soup, and we kind of got in touch with a local cafe to try and get stuff in. But it just goes to show there is a, you know, this, oh, we'll sort it. Well, you can't, because not every environment or community is the same.
You're totally right. I think you just totally nailed something that is why I love working in housing. It's that caring sector, because we are so much more than just a roof over somebody's head. There is so much more, the support services that we're offering, the fact that people are getting in their cars and going to Greggs and buying food for people. That's exactly what happens in this. And I think often in more rural communities where there are these issues geographically, digitally, that kind of thing, we do have to do more, but we understand it better. So you're right, it's about understanding our tenants. I'm delighted that I saw that role actually, and I'm delighted that you're employing somebody to do that, because it is I've said this to Richard, I love my job, and it's a great connector for, you know, obviously the business, but also the customers as well. And it's I was back of office before, and they were like, you need to let her out. You need to let her out because she wants to go and speak to people, and that's kind of really what I wanted to do. So I'm glad that you're doing that, and I think it'd be good to catch up, Jennifer, definitely. I think, and also you mentioned CX feedback, and that's something we're looking at as well. So
excited to chat about then. Good stuff.
excellent. I'll go back to Richard because I'm actually not supposed to be facilitating this.
That's fine, Louise. And thank you for that. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Would anyone else like to share how they conduct their customer consultations?
Richard, I didn't probably even cover how we do ours properly, so I'll just give you 2 seconds on what we actually do. Because we do a tenant satisfaction survey called the Perception Survey every 6 months. We do that with a company called Research Resource Scotland. Jennifer, you might have heard of them. We do that every 6 months, and we make sure that you have to in housing, you must survey all of your tenants within a 3-year period. So we make sure that we have about 400 tenants being surveyed in that 6 monthly. So we cover the bulk of our tenants. We do them by telephone call. We used to do them by text message, survey, email, and our statistics weren't great. I think the personal approach of speaking to somebody, it's probably harder to be angry on the phone. Sometimes people manage it fine, but you know what, generally people on a keyboard are more likely to have a bit of a mump, whereas if somebody's saying to you, yeah, but we actually do this, this and this, and then you go, oh, I'm not really interested in that, but well done for doing it, you know, that kind of thing. So that can help. We have a lot of transactional surveys as well. I mentioned about survey fatigue, but our key surveys are about customer contact. So our kind of solutions team, our first point of contact, and also repairs. So our operatives have handheld devices. They hand them over at the touch points with the temps when they complete a job, a repairs job, etc. And that feedback's very solid. It's very positive. Not always, but it's very strong. You survey somebody 6 months after they've had a repair, their recollection is different. So they tend to be a little bit more, not really sure, can't really remember what happened. We know how it works with surveys. If you're happy, you probably don't tell us. If you're not happy, you certainly will tell us. So I think personal approach, having different approaches for different groups is really important, as Jennifer mentioned before. And we're looking at new ways to do that. So more digital will probably come for us, but not forgetting the people who are not digital and making sure that we still have that paper rent consultation survey in our newsletter that's going out to everybody, as well as the smart survey that we use for digital respondents as well. So thank you.
You're on mute, Richard.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying thank you, Louise. Lizzie, your video is now on. Would you want to just share how you conduct customer consultations? If you could just say where you're from as well, please.
Yeah, for sure. So
you.
my name's Lizzie. I am the Deputy Head of Student Inquiries and Enrolment Team. So also have a mouthful of a job title. I'm glad I don't have business cards because they would be tiny. We are sort of earlier on in our journey on CSE, and so looking to gather some insights from other people who've been on that same journey. And it's really interesting listening to you both, Louise and Jennifer, and talking about your experiences. I do feel a little bit like I'm jumping into a housing into the housing when actually I'm in education. I think that something that we've been struggling with, or has been a challenge for us, is that our customer base is very irregular and they wouldn't necessarily identify themselves as customers, because we tend to be if you have a problem, you come to us. It's a needs-based. There isn't an alternative, and we're also the front-facing team for a lot of other specialist departments. So there's policy that sits outside of our control, where we're perhaps having to deliver messages that we don't have control over necessarily, or the influence to change because there are other factors at play. So I was wondering whether anyone had any insights on how you get that feedback when you've got a customer base that doesn't necessarily think that they're a customer. So it's not worth joining a group to feed into how a service is delivering, because, well, I used it once, but I'm not going to need to use it again, is often what we hear from students. And how to also separate the assessment of your customer service versus the outcome, which could be a policy that is completely elsewhere. And not changeable as well. I know there's going to be an element of that in every sector and every department working. So whether there is anything that you do to your survey results to note that, if it's related to a specific campaign. I'm thinking particularly about when we go out to students and we remind them that they have fees to pay, and they often don't like that. So any insights that you can provide on that would be great. You're muted, Louise.
I know, I'm kind of going, that's a tough one. Obviously, we do work with education, local colleges, schools, etc. I tend to try and employ young people, graduates, students throughout the year to help us. In terms of, see, when you're seeing people use your service once, that can be quite difficult. I suppose occasionally we have that as well. Sometimes people will apply for a home but not necessarily get that home, so they might go somewhere else and get a home somewhere else. So they become a one-off user, I suppose, and a one-off customer. They might come back in years to come when things change. So I suppose you've always got that potentially people coming back for your service again. We use a lot of social media. Housing really is getting better at social media. We're trying to move forward at that. So you can do quite a lot of polls on social media, kind of quick, simple, click yes, no's, or, you know, have a look at this image. Do you agree with this? So quick and easy things that don't take up too much time, maybe. Texting as well, if you've got like a facility to do text surveys. We don't do lots of them, but it's, if your data is good, that obviously, as long as your data is okay, sometimes that can be a quick and easy way to get somebody. Emails tend to get lost, I think often people just ignore an email. Phone calls, can you be bothered to speak to somebody during the day if you're probably doing something else? That can be difficult as well. I suppose it depends what you're asking them, and are you offering any incentives to give feedback, that sort of thing? You know, is there any real incentive for them to give their feedback? Are they contributing to the bigger picture? You know, a lot of people that we speak to when we're out doing road shows are not actually SPHA tenants. They could be a tenant of another housing association. They could be private homeowners that live in a mixed tenure area. So lots of the different people have ownership in some areas, and that's really complex, especially when you're a stock transfer from a council. So we are speaking to people who are not necessarily customers. I think it's about making them feel just as important as any other customer. We have a project that we're looking at going live. We started it years ago in a place called Galashiels, where we're going to be regenerating and refurbing this whole area, public realm, the roofs, everything. We've managed to get some what was called levelling up funding for this. So it's a substantial amount of money. So a huge project we started probably about 3 years ago, and we consulted with every single person in the neighbourhood, door to door, and a lot of them were not our customers. Now they know us and they've built up a relationship with us. So although they may not be paying their rent, and that's another thing, whenever you're doing rent campaigns, nobody wants to pay their rent either. Christmas, pay your rent before you buy your present, that kind of thing. They're quite tough campaigns, and we try not to do them, and we do it in different ways. But personal approach, maybe that's the only other thing I could think of. I don't know, Jennifer, if you can think of anything else of housing that it's difficult when we tend to speak to our tenants mainly, but we do have to build in the community as well.
I think just if somebody uses, irrespective of who they are, if they use the service, then I think it's just about setting out what you're trying to capture. So if it's, are you trying to capture how good the customer service was, or are you trying to capture the outcome? So maybe maybe to capture both on the same questionnaire without it kind of getting a bit lost. So I think that's, for me, I would be looking at maybe just even 2 or 3 questions, just like how was your overall experience, and leave that open as maybe like an open-ended question. And then if you try to drill into a bit more specifics, you know, in terms of what the outcome was, if that's what you're needing to report, to say like our service has allowed for X, Y, and Z to progress or to change or to do whatever, then that's captured. So I think it's just about setting out, just to be clear what you're actually trying to capture, and then maybe if one's more pressing than the other, that would be the one that I would be looking to capture straight away. So if I was doing a community event, I would be looking to capture specific things. I would maybe then, for something that I didn't need, the feedback wasn't as important, it was maybe to delay that and going out and saying, like, you know, you dealt with our service, or you had some input, you know, is there anything you think that we could change? So I'm kind of looking at that side of things rather than putting it all in the one, because it might be a bit confusing, or you might not be needing to capture all that information. So it's just about tailoring it, I suppose. But the sooner the better, I always think, you know, try and capture them as they're running out the door. So again, if you leave it, you know, then you get a slightly, yeah, they'll just get a can't be bothered, or can't remember, or they'll just pay anything because they think, oh, here we go. So yeah.
Yeah, sooner the better is a good point, Jennifer. Maybe even if you've got something automatic that you can send out once you've had that customer contact, and sometimes we used to use sort of like press 1 for a survey, press 2 if you don't want a survey kind of thing. There are packages like that. I'm not sure how much those kind of things cost now, to be honest with you, but Jennifer's right, it has to be at the time of service, I think, to get the best feedback. And likewise, Lizzie, like what I said to Jennifer, I'm quite happy to chat again, or if there's any questions you've got, because it really did help us having people that were much further down the process. And it's weird sitting here going, wow, you know, we've actually achieved that, because it took us a long time to get there, and we almost went, will we ever get there? But it's, you know, it's a good process, and actually maybe we make it more complicated than we need to. And actually, I think when Graham came to assess us, actually we kind of went, yeah, we probably made more of a big deal out of that than we probably needed to do. You know, it's maybe more simple than we think. So try not to get too overwhelmed with it as well. So.
Thanks both, really appreciate it.
Hi, Lizzie. So I'm Lily. I'm a student hub team leader at the University of Southampton. Sorry if my camera goes off, it's going in and out. I'm not doing anything weird. It just doesn't seem to like me today. So very similar to you, we're a front-facing team for basically any student that needs to contact the university. They speak to us. We do what we can, and then we pass it on to the specialists. And it does make it hard sometimes, like same for you, like we're chasing them or they're getting an email reminding them to pay their tuition fees, and they then aren't going to rate us very highly once they've seen that. We currently are very early on in our sort of individual journey with CSE, and then this sort of wider department we're in are looking into, or about 2 years into it as well. So currently within the hub, we don't share the feedback that we get with students, and sort of need to have a think about how we do, because I do want students to know what other students are saying, but equally, like if a student wants to speak to get mental health support, they speak to us first, so I don't want to put them off. But we have so when a student emails us, they get an automatic reply, and in that we have a feedback form, which is basically like, is there anything we could have done to improve the service that you got today, and like how would you rate us out of 5? And that is on all of our emails then, after, like in our email signature, and then if they come and see us in person, they get sent an email survey after. And basically currently, when a student fills it in, I send them an email after, like thanking them for their feedback, and then saying, either explaining why what they've said is not going to change, or what I'm doing to try and improve it. And then, yeah, if it was feedback that's actually for another team, I'll contact them and say, like, thank you for doing this. Actually, your feedback is related to the visa process, so I sent this over to the visa team who'll be in contact with you. But it can, like you can see, like in our scores, like the fees reminder months are always lower than other months, and it's not necessarily a reflection on us. It's just they got information they didn't want. So it's not really an answer to actually help you with it, just other than I feel your pain.
It's really helpful. It's helpful.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for attendance. Conscious we have overrun any very slightly, so we'll start closing down the meeting. But just as a reminder, if you've not got access to the assessment services community, please sign up. It is free for organisations that have signed up with assessment services or are certificated. It's updated with latest best practice, articles, snippets, and recordings of the network and chat. So today's network and chat is recorded, and it will be uploaded onto the assessment services community within the week. We also issue a monthly newsletter. If you've not signed up, please sign up, or if you're not getting access to these, please let me know, and I can add you on. But again, that's updated with latest information, updates, and other networking chats. The next networking chat is scheduled for the 20th of May at 2 p.m. and the one after that will be the 8th of July, again at 2 p.m. The topics are not yet confirmed, but they will be released very shortly. if you do have any topics that you'd like to discuss, please share your ideas with us, and it's something that we can look at and consider, and hopefully we'll be able to put this on for you. But we're also excited to announce that we're going to be hosting sector-specific networking chats. So these are new. We're going to implement these annually. The first one what we've gone with is on the 17th of June, and that's for organisations that are new to customer service excellence. So Lillian and Lizzie, this might be particularly beneficial for yourselves who are new to the standard. You'll all be in a very similar situation. You're all new to the standard. It's an opportunity to share, discuss, and network and converse with each other, to support each other, and we can answer your questions at that point as well. On the 24th of June is going to be higher education. The 23rd of September is the private sector. The 30th of September is local authorities, and the 7th of October is housing associations. Hopefully you've received these via a communication or the newsletter already, but if you've not received them, please let me know. But it'd be great to see the relevant networking chats. So I think that's about it in terms of updates. I'd like to thank Louise for her presentation and being a part of the awards videos as well as the presentation. I thought you've done excellent, and gave everyone a great insight and overview of your actual of your organisation. So thank you for yourself, and thank you for everyone that's attended.